The following is a lecture given by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, recorded on September 29th, 1993 in Mumbai, India. Sri Guru Vaishnavanscha.
In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's the beautiful story of how Aghasura was sent by King Kamsa to destroy all the residents of Vrindavan Dham. His plan was to open his mouth so wide that the cowherd boys would think it was a cave, and due to their playful nature, they would enter into it along with Krishna. And then he would close his mouth and devour all of them. And because all the inhabitants of Brajbhumi were so much attached to Krishna and the Gopas that naturally they would all die out of separation. So the boys entered into the mouth of Aghasura, and Krishna followed. This Asura was so large, miles and miles and miles long, and his mouth was so high as it was opened that it reached the clouds. When he closed his mouth, Krishna, seeing his friends in a distressful condition, he began to expand himself so big that Aghasura suffocated. The spirit soul came out from the top of his head, and his mouth, as he died, flapped open. All the children danced happily, singing the glories of Lord Sri Krishna as they came out of his mouth. And when Krishna made his exit, the soul, which was like a light floating in the sky, merged into his body. Thus he attained the Sayujya Mukti, or the liberation of merging into the divine form of the Lord. Upon seeing this, Lord Brahma was very much struck with wonder. Such wonderful pastimes. Who is this Krishna? If he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, let me glorify him even greater than ever. But let me see, what is this? So one day, when Krishna and the Gopas were sitting beside the bank of Jamuna, herding their calves, they began to take prasad. And Lord Brahma induced the calves with fresh green grasses to enter deeper and deeper into the forest. The cowherd boys became very much frightened. Where has our calves gone? Krishna, he said, you stay here and you enjoy prasad, and I will go to find them. Krishna is always most pleased to give pleasure and service to his devotees. In fact, Vrindavan is the place where Krishna's eternal Leela is simply to give pleasure to his devotees, and his devotees' eternal Leela is only for the pleasure of Krishna. Krishna went deeper and deeper into the forest, following the small hoof prints of the calves, but he could find them nowhere. Why? Because Lord Brahma had stolen all the calves. And then when he returned, he found that even his friends were gone, because Brahma had stolen them. He had put them all in a mystic slumber. So Krishna was thinking, it is becoming late, and the motherly gopis and the motherly cows will be very much in distress if their calves and their children do not return. So by his inconceivable transcendental potency, he simply expanded himself to take the form which was identical to each calf and each cowherd boy. And when he returned home in these various forms, each mother cow, upon receiving her calf, began to lick the body of that calf with such love that they had never experienced, as if they were wanting to just swallow it. And milk was just pouring from their udders. And the gopis, to their great astonishment, they felt such love for their children that they had never felt before. In fact, upon embracing their children, they were feeling the same ecstasy that they would feel when they would be in the presence of Gopal Krishna. This was a great mystery. For 1 full year, this pastime took place, where Krishna allowed all the cows and all the elderly gopas and gopis to have the relationship with him of his own mother and father and enjoy the same ecstasy of love, although they did not know. Even Balaram did not know, because that day happened to be Balaram's birthday, when they went out to herd the calves and Brahma stole them. So the next year, 1 full year exactly later, Balaramji also did not come, because Mother Jashoda kept him back to do special pujas and yagyas and celebrate his birthday. So Brahma was thinking, let me see what kind of mischief I have created in Vrindavan. So when he looked, it was only one moment for him. He saw everything was as usual. He looked back at the cave where they were all in mystic slumber and they were still sleeping. And then he looked again, and there were all the calves and the gopas playing together. He was thinking in great confusion, are they being transferred so fast before I could look? How is this possible? And then right before his eyes, each of the calves and each of the cowherd boys turned into the beautiful form of Lord Narayan. And they were all being worshipped by the great sages and the gods. Then Lord Brahma, really perplexed. He was astonished. And then right before his eyes, this whole beautiful panoramic scenes disappeared, and all that was left was little child Krishna holding a lump of food consisting of yogurt and rice and sugar and some fruit. And he was looking for his friends and his calves, as was 1 year before. Brahma could understand he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he descended on his swan carrier, and with his 4 crowned heads, he placed them at the lotus feet of child Gopal. And he prayed that because I have such a powerful position of being the creator and the Lord of this universe, I have become illusioned to think that I am the doer, and I have become proud. And because of this, I have even challenged you, who are my Lord, from whom all of my potency emanates. And he begged forgiveness. And he began to offer beautiful prayers in the glorification of the supreme power of Krishna, the supreme beauty of Krishna. So after satisfying the Lord, Brahma began to return to Brahmaloka in the Satyaloka region. And he began to think in his mind, what have I done? I am only the humble servant of the Lord. I want to simply take a position where I can be the humblest servant of the Lord. Be relieved from these responsibilities of Creator and Father of all living beings. Soon, Krishna will appear in his most merciful incarnation of Lord Gauranga. In that avatar, I simply want to be his loving servant. So he went to Navadvip Dham, and one of the 9 islands is called Antardvip. He went to that place and he began to perform tapasya. He would practically not eat or drink anything, and he was constantly immersed in the thought of Krishna, the chanting of his holy names. At that time, after long, long austerities, Lord Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu appeared before him, raising his arms, long, long arms, this beautiful complexion, like molten gold, chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And Lord Gaurachandra, he spoke to Lord Brahma and said, I am very pleased by your austerities in this holy place of Navadvip. I will bestow upon you the fulfillment of your any desire. Lord Brahma said, let me just take the humblest position of your servant and assist you in your beautiful pastimes when you appear as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that you will take birth in the family of Yavanas, untouchables. You will be in the most humble position. You will be the most humble of all devotees. And you will be constantly assisting my great mission by chanting the holy names. You will chant 300,000 names of Krishna every day, and you will always be anxious to spread the glories of the holy name by your words and by your example. You will be one of my most intimate associates, and your name will be Haridas Thakur. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disappeared. Actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also placed his lotus feet on the head of Brahma. Then he disappeared. Brahma fell in the dust of the footprints of Lord Gauranga, and with great joy, he simply awaited the opportunity to take this most wonderful incarnation. So at the time, just prior to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, some years before, Haridas Thakur descended into this world. It is explained he was the son of a Qazi, of a very high-posted Muslim official. It is very interesting to hear the Acharya's explanation of the birth of Haridas Thakur. You see, he is Lord Brahma, but Lord Brahma has two aspects. And although they appear to be one, they also are distinct. One is Brahma, the creator, and one is Brahma, the original Acharya, who is the first spiritual master in our disciplic succession. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adakavaye Muyanti Atsuraya, who has revealed the knowledge of all the Vedas through the holy syllable Omkara, and who later, through the sound of Krishna's blessed flute, was initiated in the Kam Gayatri mantra. And that Lord Brahma, by chanting this mantra, he was given the vision of Goloka Vrindavan. And according to what he saw, with his pure transcendental vision, he composed that most illustrious of all scriptures, Sri Brahma Samhita. Sri Brahma Samhita was such a perfect manifestation in this world of the truths of Krishna and Goloka Vrindavan that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, when he was at the Adi Keshava temple in South India during his tour, when he found manuscripts of the scripture, it brought him such delight and ecstasy that he brought copy of those scriptures. He had them copy, and he brought them with him, presented them to Ramananda Rai. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained that these two scriptures, Krishna Karnamrita by Sri Lila Shuka, Bilvamangala Thakur, and Brahma Samhita are the two most super excellent scriptures of all scriptures describing the intimate Lila of Vrindavan Dham. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take great pleasure throughout his life in hearing these ambrosial words of Lord Brahma. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally took initiation in the Brahma Sampradaya. Brahma, who was perfect, impeccable, unadulterated Acharya, with the highest realizations of the supremost truths. He instructed this knowledge to his son Narada, who instructed it to Vedavyas. Later Vedavyas instructed to Madhva. Through his disciplic line, Madhavendra Puri accepted this knowledge. And then later Ishwara Puri and Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu accepted in this line. And all of us, by our inconceivable great fortune, have also been given entrance into this most divine family of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Lord Brahma is the original Acharya. And Madhvacharya, because he did not want to confuse people, when he made his commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam, he especially did not recognize the Brahma Mohan Lila, where Brahma was illusioned. Because if he is the original spiritual master of all spiritual masters, then what is our disciplic line if he can be illusioned? But the great Acharyas explain that his illusion can be understood in two ways. One is under the spell of Yogamaya, the personal desire of Krishna. As a surrendered soul, he accepted this illusion simply to take part in the beautiful pastimes of the Lord. So it really was not illusion at all. He was just like a puppet doing whatever Krishna wanted him to do to assist in his pastimes. But from another and higher point of view, we can understand that the inner Brahma, the inner conception of the realization of Lord Brahma, which is the Acharya, can never be illusioned. It was the aspect of him which is the creator, which takes care of all of these material activities of being the father of all living beings and everything else. But the inner Brahma, the Acharya Brahma, has nothing to do with creation or any of these things. He's simply absorbed in the highest meditation on the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. So it was this Brahma, this inner nature of Brahma. It was Brahma as the first and great Acharya that incarnated as Haridas Thakur. Not the creator Brahma, but the Acharya Brahma. So when Haridas appeared, from his very early childhood, inconceivable to everyone's mind, he was simply attracted to associating with devotees of Krishna. And he had such a spontaneous liking for chanting the holy names. In this way, he actually began the Sankirtan movement even before Mahaprabhu appeared. He would go from place to place, always chanting the holy names. At one time, he lived in the place near Advaita Acharya in Santipur. And Advaita Acharya, who is the avatar of Mahavishnu, Sadashiva, he was so much immersed in affection for Haridas Thakur that they became best of friends. And together they would chant the beautiful kirtan of the name of Krishna. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains just the drop from the ocean of the nectar of the glories of Haridas Thakur. How much complete attachment he had to Krishna's name. He was at one time living in a village called Benapol. Actually, he lived just outside the village, in the forest. And with such compassion, he was always chanting Hare Krishna mantra, and he was always instructing people in the essence of all the Vedas, which is simply to chant Harinam. He was considered Parama Vidvan, which means supreme scholar. But actually, his scholarship was that he simply knew to chant Hare Krishna. The supreme scholar is not one who memorizes so many slokas and can defeat so many arguments. The supreme scholar is the one who understands the essence, the culmination of all knowledge, and knows how to present that. He would simply impel everyone to chant the holy name, practically, that came in contact with him. So he was becoming very famous and very much loved and adored. But the more people love you in this world, the more envious people will hate you. So one such envious person was a great landowner, very rich, very learned in the scriptures, and very proud. His name was Ramchandra Khan. And he became so envious of Haridas Thakur that seeing other people respecting Haridas instead of himself, his heart was burning. And his meditation was how to destroy the reputation of this man somehow or other. So he went and found the most beautiful, captivating, and irresistible prostitute in the town. He offered her large sums of money. You go, you use your feminine prowess to bring the downfall of this Haridas Thakur. She said, no problem. There has never been a man on the face of this earth that can resist my charms. So she came just at the time of dusk, as the sun was setting, a very romantic time of the day. And she went to the little kutir of Haridas. Haridas Thakur, he had a beautiful tulsi plant growing just outside of his hut. And his vow was to sit in front of that tulsi plant, worship her, and chant the holy name of Krishna throughout the day and night. So she bowed down to the tulsi plant, and she came before Haridas. And she said to him, in such a impassioned spirit, that, my dear Haridas, you are so young and so handsome and so strong, and I am so beautiful and nice. It is the will of Providence, I believe, that we should unite on this very night. And Haridas, with great kindness, he said, yes, I will fulfill all your desires. But I have made a vow that I must complete 300,000 names of Lord Hari every day, so let me just finish my vow. Then I will fulfill all your desires. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. As he was chanting, she was exposing various parts of her body before him and doing all these amorous gestures to try to startle his mind. But Haridas just continued chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. The name of Krishna is endowed with all the beauty, all the sweetness, all the amorous pastimes of the Lord are contained within his name. One whose mind is absorbed in the name, how could they possibly be attracted to the dry, temporary sources of misery called the pleasures of this world? So Haridas simply chanted throughout the night. The sun rose. You have promised? Ah, yes. Come back tomorrow. Because I just was behind on my rounds and I must finish my rounds every day. So the next day she came, and the same thing took place. And the third day she was sitting at the doorstep of Haridas Thakur throughout the night, and as he was chanting, she began to chant along with him, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. And just toward the end of that night, as morning was coming, this prostitute bowed her head at Haridas's lotus feet. She said, I am now a soul surrendered to you. please be my spiritual master. I must tell you that I have come with the most wicked purpose. The envious Ramchandra Khan sent me to you only to ruin your reputation and create the fall down of your spiritual life. He said, yes, I know who is this Ramchandra Khan. I know for what reason he sent you. In fact, when I heard he was so envious of me, I was about to leave. I only stayed to deliver you. Now, you want to be my disciple? Go to the village. Give all your jewelry, all your fine clothes, and all your wealth to the Brahmins, to the Vaishnavas, and to others in need. Come back here with nothing except one simple white cloth. I will be leaving this place. You take my bhajan kutir, and you sit before the holy tulsi plant, and you chant the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. You do not worry anything for your maintenance. Krishna will provide everything for one who surrenders to him. So this prostitute, who was notorious in the whole village of Venapur for her sinful activities, she became such a pure, loving saint that people would come throughout the day to have her darshan, to bring her gifts. And everyone began to celebrate the glories of Srila Haridas Thakur, that he could even convert the lowest, most sinful prostitute into the greatest loving devotee of Sri Krishna. So when Haridas Thakur left that place, he went to another village of the name of Chandapur. There his very dear friend Balaramacharya was living. Balaramacharya and Yadunandanacharya were very close friends, and they were very dear. In fact, they were the spiritual masters of Hiranya and Govardhan Majumadar, who were very, very wealthy. They were landowners. Hiranya Majumadar was the father of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. So they were so pleased to have the presence of Haridas Thakur that they called a large assembly to have his darshan and hear him speak. And Haridas began to explain, as always, the supreme glories of the Nam Sankirtan movement. He began to explain that the chanting of the holy name of Krishna is so powerful, it is so pure, that what people strive for, life after life after life, through various tapasya and meditational processes, the goal of mukti, he said, just by the mere reflection, nam bas, of the chanting of the holy name, this automatically takes place. It is a byproduct of chanting the holy name of Krishna. But the real goal is pure, ecstatic, loving, devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna. And he was quoting so many wonderful scriptural examples, Ajamil and others, of the great power of the chanting of Krishna's name. There was one very, very learned and very materially opulent man. His name was Gopal Chakravarti. He was in that assembly. He was infuriated. He stood up and said, the supreme goal of life is mukti. And you are belittling it, saying it is a mere byproduct that comes from the shadow, the reflection of the chanting of the name of Krishna. I say this is blasphemy. If this is not true, let your nose fall to the ground. Upon hearing this blasphemy of Thakur Haridas, Govardhan and Hiranya Majumadar quickly escorted him out and fired him from all his responsibilities. He was employed by them. And they began to offer their apologies to Haridas. And Haridas said, no, we must forgive. And then he began to continue to extol the glories of the holy name. Anyways, Gopal Chakravarti within days, contracted leprosy, and his beautiful fingers fell to the ground, and his nose also began to shrivel up, and he suffered terribly for the offense he had committed to this great devotee. Haridas, he would travel and preach. At one time he was living in a cave, and he would sit through most all the day chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And many respectable persons would come to visit him, to have his darshan, and to hear the truth from him with great love. But there was one difficulty. There was such a poisonous snake that was living in that cave, that his poison was so powerful that it just filled the air with an unbearable smell. And the devotees, not only was it unbearable for them to be in this atmosphere, but they were always fearful that such a venomous snake could come at any time and strike us. So one day they said to Haridas that we are having very much difficulty coming here because of this great snake that lives in the cave with you. But Haridas Thakur, he didn't mind at all. He just saw that this snake was part and parcel of Krishna, and he would just go on with his chanting undisturbed. So he was thinking, if this snake is disturbing you, there is no reason to remove the snake, because after all it's his cave, so I will go. So after he had decided to go, everyone saw right before their eyes this big, big snake, just not wanting to inconvenience Haridas Thakur, just slithered by and left that cave never to return. Haribo. On another occasion, while Haridas was living in the forest, Maya Devi herself wanted to perceive the glories of Haridas Thakur. She came in the form of the embodiment of all material beauty as a young woman. And her prowess was so great that as she approached the cave of Haridas, the whole atmosphere was illuminated, and sweet-smelling flowers started growing on all the trees, taking breezes which were just enough to intoxicate the mind of any human being. And the birds were singing very sweetly. It was such a charming, romantic atmosphere. And then she appeared on the scene. And she also requested Haridas to fulfill her desires, to unite with her. And Haridas, he said, I have not finished my rounds. He would not even eat or drink before finishing his rounds, what to speak of anything else. But Haridas Thakur actually would never finish his rounds because he was Kirtaniya Sadahari. He was constantly chanting the holy name. That is why Srila Prabhupada says, if we're always chanting Hare Krishna, Maya cannot touch us. So for 3 nights, Maya Devi, with all the powers that she possesses, was trying to divert the attention from Haridas, but he was immersed exclusively in Harinam. And after 3 days, she introduced herself. She bowed down at his lotus feet and she said, I am the material energy of Maya Devi. I've come to test the purity of your heart. And I can understand now that you are my spiritual master. Maya Devi herself explained that previously I accepted the name of Ram from Lord Shiva, but now from you, I am begging you to initiate me in the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. So Haridas Thakur gave her initiation into the chanting of the Maha Mantra. And with great reverence and respect, Maya Devi bowed at his lotus feet and surrendered. During the time when Srila Haridas was living close to Santipur. Advaitacharya, who was the leader of all the Brahmins, he was performing the Shraddha Patra. He was performing the rites for his deceased father. And this is a ceremony which culminates in offering bhoga to Lord Vishnu. And then the Mahaprasad is to given first to the most exalted and qualified of all Brahmins, and then distributed amongst other Brahmins, and then to others. It was considered the highest honor to be given the first morsel of Mahaprasad from that Shraddha Patra. So Advaitacharya, with great devotion, gave that Mahaprasad for Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur says, Advaitacharya, Prabhu, I am an untouchable by birth. I'm the most sinful and fallen of all living beings. And you are the most qualified Brahmin. And there are so many very highly learned Brahmins here. Why you want to give to me? And Advaitacharya replied, because you are constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna and worshipping him with pure devotion as a Vaishnava, by feeding you, it's worth feeding millions and millions of Brahmins. And Haridas Thakur, out of humility, in order to please Sri Advaita, accepted his offering. It is also explained in the Chaitanya Bhagavat long story of how Haridas, because he was preaching with so much compassion, he created such an uproar amongst grossly envious and materialistic people. Many of the Smarta Brahmins violently turned against him, that the holy name of Lord Hari can only be chanted by Brahmins and no one else. And even then, it cannot be chanted during the 4 months when Lord Vishnu is sleeping. And during the rest of the year, it is only meant to be chanted on the day of Hari, which is Ekadashi. And he's chanting throughout the year, every day, and he's an untouchable. He's polluting the name of Krishna, and he's polluting our whole society. And he's causing so many other ignorant people to chant along with him and ruin their own lives and ruin the whole Hindu religion. And besides that, no one's coming to us anymore. They're all going to him. So they were very envious, outraged. But Haridas Thakur would simply go on chanting the holy names. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Because according to these Smarta principles, these things have relevance. But on a higher level, we can understand, aho bata swapa chotogariyam, even a dog eater who chants the holy name of Krishna is to be considered more exalted than even the greatest Brahmins. And he is fit to be the spiritual master for all the world if he chants purely. But such a Brahmin, if he is not a humble devotee chanting the names of God, he cannot even deliver himself, what to speak of anyone else. And it is also explained by Mahaprabhu, Kirtaniya Sadahari, we should constantly chant the holy name of Krishna. Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarvashaktis Tatrapitani Amita Smarane Nakala Etadrishi Tavakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durataivam Idrishami Hajanunanarga. Not only should we constantly chant the name of Hari, but there are no hard and fast rules for the chanting. So Haridas simply took the essence and distributed it profusely. Anyways, the Muslims, some spiritual leaders, and the Qazi of the time in that area, they became outraged that he's converting Muslims to chanting the name of Krishna. He's ruining our religion. So they approached the governor. At that time, India was under Muslim rule. This was in Bengal. and they put a warrant out for his arrest. And when Haridas Thakur heard about it, through the prison house, and when all the prisoners saw Haridas, they all began to run to the fence where the bars where they could see him, and they were just longing one glance, hoping that his darshan would give them blessing. And as they were all, with great reverence and humility, looking upon Haridas Thakur's beautiful form, bowing down, Haridas granted them a benediction. Let you always be the way you are now. Now they misunderstood this. They thought it meant that they should always be in prison. They wanted the benediction to get out. So they started looking very sad. And Haridas could understand. He said, first of all, this whole world is a prison. And people outside of this prison, they're prisoners, but they think they're free. That is a great illusion. And therefore they're so proud and they think they can enjoy. But at this particular time, you are in desperate need. And you are looking upon a Vaishnava, helplessly seeking shelter, with all humility, with no pride at all. I am saying to you, let you always be in this disposition of mind and chant the holy name of Krishna. Do not fear, because within a few days you will be released from this prison as well. So after delivering all the prisoners, he went to the governor, and he had a long discussion. The governor said to him, you are a Muslim. That is the greatest religion in all the world. Why you are chanting these names of Hindu gods? You are a disgrace to your birth. And Haridas, on the basis of the Quran and the Vedas, he began to explain, my dear sir, there's only one God. He has many names. And if you chant the name of the Lord purely, you can attain love of God. There is only one religion in all of creation, and that is the religion of loving service to the Lord. And that is the goal of Islam, that is the goal of all the great religions of the world. So I have found such infinite sweetness and attraction in the name of Krishna that I cannot ever stop chanting Krishna's name. The name of the one supreme God. And upon hearing this, the governor's heart was very moved. And he offered Haridas a very nice seat. But the Qazi, he was adamant that he must be punished and killed. The governor said, I cannot ignore what Qazi is saying. Personally, I respect you and adore you greatly. Just either stop chanting Hare Krishna or do it somewhere else, lonely, but stop propagating it. If you will not promise to stop propagating the holy name, we will have to sentence you to death. And Haridas Thakur explained that you can kill me and you can chop my body into millions of pieces, because I have to die anyway. That's no big thing. But to stop showing compassion to suffering souls by delivering them the holy name is impossible. Slash my body in millions and billions of pieces, and every piece will be chanting the name of Krishna. You cannot stop it. Is it all right? Qazi, you decide. Let him be beaten till he's dead in all the 22 marketplaces of this town. They brought 2 violently brutish executioners with chains, and they began to shout obscenities and blasphemies to Haridas, throwing him to the ground, kicking him with their feet, beating him with sticks, as a public exhibition so that everyone would see his humiliation. Haridas Thakur did not mind being humiliated in this way before all the town. The only thing he minded was that these people beating him, blaspheming him, that they may have to suffer the consequences of this offense. While he was chanting the holy name with pure love, he was begging the Lord to forgive them. Through all 22 marketplaces, from sunrise to sunset, they incessantly beat the body of Haridas. By the end of the day, they were so exhausted that they could practically not even move. They said, Haridas, this is extraordinary. We have been doing this for years, and there has been never a human being, however powerful they may be, who had ever lived past 2 or 3 of these marketplaces. Not only have you survived, but you never even showed expressions of pain. The whole while, you look quite happy just chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Throughout the entire day, all these beatings, you never stopped chanting the holy name for even a moment. And what's even more incredible, while we're beating and trying to kill you, you're looking upon us as if you feel sorry for us. But actually you should, because we have not done our duty of killing you, we will be killed. Haridas said, if my being alive is a disturbance to you, then I will die. Haridas Thakur gracefully lay down, and all symptoms of life left his body. The Qazi came, other priests came. They declared that he was dead. We cannot bury his body because that's too good for such a heretic as this. And the Hindus did not want to burn his body because he was not born in the Hindu caste. So let us just throw him in the river like garbage. So they tossed his body in the river Ganges. And he went under the water and began to float downstream. And then he came back to life. As the Christians phrase it, he rose from the dead. He came out of his samadhi. And when he came out, he began to chant the holy names. And when the news came to the governor and to the Qazi and to the priests and to all the others who declared his death sentence, they were struck with wonder. They couldn't believe it. They ran to the site where Haridas was having kirtan, and they fell at his feet. And they surrendered to him and begged forgiveness. It is explained in Chaitanya Charitamrita that at the time of the appearance of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Advaita Acharya and Haridas Thakur were together in Santipur, and they were having kirtan. And on that full moon night, the month of Phalgun, during the lunar eclipse, just at the time of the moonrise, Lord Sri Gaurchandra appeared. And when he appeared, Advaita Acharya and Haridas, who had both been praying for the appearance of Krishna, to deliver Krishna Bhakti to all the fallen souls in this Kali Yuga, they felt such an upsurge of ecstasy in their hearts that they could understand that our prayer has been fulfilled. The Lord has appeared. And in such jubilation of ecstatic love, they just began to cry and to dance and to sing in Hari Kirtan. And the people around could not understand for what reason are they carrying on like this. When Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned from Gaya Dham and manifested his divine Leela of being the supreme devotee, Haridas Thakur became one of his most intimate associates. And we read of how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would lead the kirtans through the streets of Navadvip Dham. And Haridas Thakur was one of the principal dancers in those kirtans. And one day Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Nityanand Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to his side, and he said, I want the two of you to go to every house in all of this area and beg the alms from everyone that they kindly accept the name of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave them an instruction that this is the alms you should beg. My dear brothers and sisters, know Krishna, serve Krishna, and chant the name of Krishna. This is the only alms we beg. And you come back each and every night and give a report to me of how your day's preaching had gone. So Lord Nityanand Prabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur, so humble, they would go to every house, to everyone they met, in fact, and with all respect, they would go in saffron cloth. And as mendicant beggars in the renounced order, they would say, we are begging some alms from you. Please, kindly, know Krishna, serve Krishna, chant his holy names. This is the only alms we beg. In this way, they were inducing everyone without discrimination, who was low caste, who was high caste, who was intelligent, who was ignorant, who was rich, who was poor. They made no discrimination. Everyone was part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, everyone was fully entitled to pure Krishna bhakti, which is being delivered in this age of Kali by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of Harinam Sankirtan. And every evening, Haridas Thakur and Lord Nityananda, who were the supreme most preaching team, they would come back and report their activities and give great pleasure to Lord Gauranga. The greatest pleasure to Mahaprabhu was to hear how more and more suffering souls were finding the ecstasy of love of God through chanting Krishna's names. One day, they met two of the biggest rogues, thieves, and murderers in all the world. In fact, these two men were born in Brahmin families. Their names were Jagadananda and Madhavananda. But because of that association, they became terribly degraded. And they became intoxicated with liquors. They became woman hunters. Gradually they became degraded to murderers, rapists, robbers, always harshly resounding abusive language. And yet, because they were so powerful, no one dared to try to stop them. In fact, they were so powerful, they became the sheriffs, where they had control over the law. Anyways, Haridas Thakur and Nityanand Prabhu approached them and begged them, kindly chant the name of Krishna. They became very angry. We will kill you for insulting us by telling us to chant God's name. And they ran, and Haridas and Nityananda ran away. Haridas said, Nityananda, you are a madman. You're telling them? And they went back to report this to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy. But Nityanand Prabhu was thinking, they are the most fallen. Therefore, if they become Krishna bhaktas, Mahaprabhu's name will be exalted in all the worlds. So anyways, you know the story. That one day, Jagai and Madhai were on the banks of the Ganges, not far from Srivas Thakur's house, and they could hear the kirtan of the holy name. And in their drunken state, they began to imitate the kirtan by chanting. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hari Ram, Ram Ram, Hari. They were doing it not in a devotional way at all, but still they heard the holy name and they were chanting. So soon after this, Lord Nityananda was walking and he saw them, and again he asked them, please take the name of Krishna. And Madhai became so angry that he took the clay pot and with all of his strength, he smashed it on the head of Nityananda Prabhu. When we say all of his strength, what was the nature of the strength of Jagai and Madhai? Previously, they had taken birth as Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. Then again as Ravana and Kumbhakarna. Then again as Shishupal and Dantavakra. They were Jai and Vijay, the gatekeepers of Vaikuntha, great devotees of the Lord who appeared as demons to assist the Lord in his pastimes. But because they insulted the four Kumaras, headed by Sanat Kumar, they were cursed to take birth as demons for 3 times consecutively. But then after their curse was used up, they went back to Vaikuntha. But then when they heard that Lord Gauranga was appearing to deliver the most fallen, they volunteered. This has nothing to do with our curse, but we want to become demons again to assist you in this Leela. Then you become Jagai and Madhai. So when Madhai hit Nityananda in the head, such power, such strength, like that of Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, and Nityananda's forehead was bleeding. At that time the news came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was angry like fire. He ran to the scene of the crime and he called Chakra, Chakra, and the Sudarshan Chakra appeared in his hand. At that time, both Jagai and Madhai realized that they were about to die. So they fell at his feet. And Nityananda Prabhu said, please, my Lord, do not harm them. He said, do you see this Jagai? After Madhai hit me on the head, I simply requested, my dear brothers, I do not mind that you hit me on the head and blood is covering my body, but I mind that you are suffering an illusion. I forgive you. Kindly take the name of Krishna. When he said that, Jagai's heart melted. But Madhai was so furious, he picked up another pot to hit me again. And Jagai stopped him. He said, don't hurt him. He's such a loving saint. Don't hurt him. Jagai has protected me, my Lord. At that time, Nityananda Prabhu said, please don't hurt them. If you kill them, why don't you kill everyone in this age of Kali? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt so much love and affection for Jagai, for protecting Nityananda, that he became pacified. And then Madhai also fell at the feet of Lord Nityananda and begged his forgiveness. And Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you have begged forgiveness from Lord Nityananda. If you stop ever committing these sinful activities again, you become the servant of the Vaishnavas, and you always chant the holy name, not only will you be delivered, but you will become my intimate loving associates. In this way, by the grace of Nityananda Prabhu and Srila Haridas Thakur, Jagai and Madhai became great, great devotees of the Lord. During the kirtans at the house of Srivas Thakur, Mahaprabhu one night decided to fulfill all the desires of his devotees. Mahaprakash Leela. And he was calling each of his associates one by one and revealing to them just the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead that they loved so dearly. So he called upon Srila Haridas Thakur. Haridas, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Do you remember years before my appearance in this world, how you were sentenced to death, and how you were so brutally beaten in those 22 marketplaces? Do you know those men who were beating you and insulting you publicly? I was so angry with them that from my abode in Vaikuntha, I armed my finger with the Sudarshan chakra and I ordered Sudarshan chakra to go and sever their heads. But at that time, you were so humbly and lovingly begging, my dear Lord Krishna, please forgive them. The power of your forgiveness was so great that the Sudarshan chakra would not leave my finger. The power of the forgiveness of a devotee is greater than all the wrath of God. Mahaprabhu explained that I could not punish them. You would not let me. You were praying, my dear Lord, please forgive them. Please give them your mercy. So at that time, I had to protect you. I could not tolerate seeing you being beaten in this way. So I took my own body and I covered yours with mine. And I accepted all the brutal beatings of those demons. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the presence of Haridas Thakur and all the devotees, he opened up his chadar and he revealed that his back was covered with all of the bruises and scars and blood that was meant for Haridas Thakur. When the devotees saw this terrible, terrible manifestation of violence upon the body of the Lord, they could see that they were all decorations glorifying the love of Mahaprabhu for his devotees. And Haridas Thakur began to weep and fell to the ground in an ecstatic love. And all the devotees present all began to weep in ecstatic love, and they all fainted and fell to the ground, completely immersed in the ocean of divine appreciation for the extent that the Lord loves and protects his devotee. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed his divine form of Krishna before Srila Haridas Thakur and fulfilled all of his desires. And Haridas prayed that I am most sinful, I am most fallen, but you are supremely merciful to all living beings, even the most fallen as myself. On that fateful eve, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided, for the sake of chasing after the conditioned souls in this world, he would leave his beloved mother, Sachi Devi, and wife, Vishnupriya, and accept the order of sannyas. He left Navadvip Dham in the middle of the night to the ashram of Keshav Bharati in Katwa, crossing the river Ganges. After receiving the sannyas initiation from Keshav Bharati Maharaj, Mahaprabhu decided to go to Vrindavan, but Lord Nityanand Prabhu made a tricky method of bringing him back to Santipur. And he sent Chandrasekhar to go inform all the devotees in Navadvip to come to Santipur to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Nityananda Prabhu knew that upon hearing that he left them to take sannyas, thinking they would never see him again, they were all on the verge of death. In fact, they all vowed to commit suicide that night by drowning themselves in the river Ganges, headed by Sri Advaitacharya. But then a voice came from the sky, saying, please, you will be seeing your beloved Lord again very soon. So then Advaita was pacified and everyone decided to continue their lives. So Nityananda, knowing that although Mahaprabhu personally wants to go to Vrindavan, his innermost desire is always to please his devotees. So even though he may become angry with me for making this trick, in his inner heart he will be very happy because I will be causing him to give pleasure to his devotees. So he met all the devotees in Santipur, and by the instruction of Mother Sachi, he decided to make his residence in Jagannath Puri. Haridas Thakur, he began to reveal his mind to Sri Advaita Acharya. When will I ever see my Lord again? Now he's living in Jagannath Puri. If he's living in the temple of Jagannath, because I'm from an untouchable class, I am not allowed to go into the temple. I will never see my Lord again. Advaita Acharya told him that he is not staying in the temple of Jagannath. He is staying just outside at the house of Kashi Mishra. You can see him there. So with this inspiration, Haridas Thakur left everything behind to make his residence at the lotus feet of Gauranga Mahaprabhu in Sri Jagannath Puri. He went there with the other devotees from Bengal. And when Mahaprabhu was sitting in Gambhira, the house of Kashi Mishra, all the devotees came into his home, and he was intimately fulfilling all of their desires, glorifying each devotee as if he had 5 mouths. And he asked, "Where is Haridas Thakur? Has he come?" They said, "Yes, but he's so humble that he will not even approach you. You see, down the road in the dust, he's laying flat in prostrated obeisances continuously." So after Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fulfilled the desires of all the devotees and arranged places of residence for each of them, he personally went out to where Haridas Thakur was laying in the dust, and he lifted him up and embraced him. Haridas, as always, spoke so lowly of himself as the most sinful, the most fallen, the most unfortunate, but that I have one fortune, that you have accepted me as your servant. That is your causeless mercy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally arranged for Haridas Thakur to live in a place just a little distance from the Jagannath temple and only a few minutes walk from his own house. If you go to Jagannath Puri and visit Gambhira, you will find just about 5 minutes walk from there is a place called Siddha Bakula. That is the place that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally gave to Haridas Thakur to do his bhajan. From that place, you could see the chakra of the Jagannath temple. Now, the chakra is non-different than the murti inside. In fact, according to proper Vedic ritual, at the time of installing the deities and consecrating a new temple, there is also a very beautiful ornate ceremony for the prana pratishta of the chakra on top of the temple, because you're actually installing the murti there as well. And that chakra represents the murti inside. And those who cannot go into the temple can get all the benefits of the darshan by bowing down and worshipping the chakra. So Haridas Thakur worshipped Jagannath in this way. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, every day he would go in the morning for the darshan of Lord Jagannath, and he would collect Mahaprasad, and he would come out of the temple and go directly to the bhajan kutir of Sri Haridas Thakur. Lord Jagannath himself would come out of the temple in the form of Gauranga Mahaprabhu to give his darshan to Srila Haridas Thakur. And he would give him with his own hands the Mahaprasad of the Lord. And they would sit and discuss Krishna Katha and chant the holy names. One day Mahaprabhu came with the Mahaprasad of Jagannath, which was one of Jagannath's toothbrushes. They make it out of wood. And he took that and put it in the ground. And from that, a beautiful bakula tree grew instantly before their eyes. Because Haridas Thakur would sit and chant 300,000 names a day. And Mahaprabhu wanted to give him a nice shady tree to chant under. To this day at Jagannath Puri, if you visit the Siddha Bakula tree, that blessed personality in the form of a tree who sat and witnessed Srila Haridas Thakur's bhajan every day for so many years. During the stay in Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would organize beautiful kirtan parties before the Ratha Yatra. He divided into 6 groups, and each group had a lead singer and a lead dancer. And in one of the groups, each and every year, he appointed Srila Haridas Thakur to be the lead dancer. His chanting and dancing was so beautiful for the Lord to see. In this way, Srila Haridas Thakur lived within Jagannath Puri. When Rup and Sanatan, they would come individually to Jagannath Puri, they made their residence at that same place where Srila Haridas Thakur was residing. It is explained by the Acharyas that Rup and Sanatan especially wanted to live in Jagannath Puri in the company of Haridas Thakur because they wanted to learn humility from Srila Haridas Thakur. So, just in that little courtyard, they had little bhajan kutirs. Rupa Goswami, at that residence of Haridas Thakur where his little bhajan kutir was, you know the story, how during Ratha Yatra he saw Mahaprabhu chanting in special codes nobody could understand, explaining Srimati Radharani's feelings of separation in Kurukshetra Dham. And he wrote it on palm leaf, and he put it in the roof and went to the sea to bathe. And when Mahaprabhu came to his house, because he would always come to the house of Haridas and he would also visit Rupa Goswami there, he found that verse and he said, Swarup Damodar, how could he know the inner essence of my own heart? Nobody knows this. Swarup Damodar said, my dear Lord, I can understand. It is because you have bestowed your causeless mercy upon Rupa Goswami. This took place also in the presence of Haridas Thakur. And of course we know the story of Sanatan Goswami when he was coming from Vrindavan to Sri Purushottam Kshetra, Jagannath Puri Dham. He contracted a terrible disease of the skin, very painful, very contaminating. And there, when he came to Jagannath Puri, he arrived. He first came to the abode of Haridas Thakur. Such sweet and intimate friends. And he also took up residence with Srila Haridas. And it was in the presence of Thakur Haridas that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sanatan at his own bhajan kutir. And it was there that he told Sanatan, I know that you are thinking of committing suicide by jumping under the Ratha Yatra car, but your body is mine, not yours. You have no right to destroy another man's property. What do you think, Haridas Thakur? Yes, Vivo. I can understand that your mercy is very great. That's all I know. And every day Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would come to bring prasad and give blessings to Sanatan and Haridas. In fact, every day he would embrace them both. And one day when he came, Sanatan Goswami told Mahaprabhu that Jagadananda Pandit has told me that I should go to Vrindavan because ultimately that's where you want me, because I'm committing such an offense. Every day you embrace me, and when you embrace me, the oozing, pussing sores make blood all over your body. Your beautiful golden form, it's such an offense to contaminate you that I think I should go. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu disagreed. He said, I am embracing you for my purification, because you are the pure devotee of the Lord. And then he embraced him again, and all of his disease went away and his body became perfectly healthy and effulgent with a beautiful complexion. And upon witnessing this, Srila Thakur Haridas began to exclaim, this, my Lord, is your mercy. It is you that caused Sanatana Goswami to contract this disease, just to test the purity of his love. It was you that caused him to suffer this disease for so many long months. It is all by your divine, perfect will. And now today it is by your causeless mercy that you have delivered him from this disease, just to glorify his pure love and just to show your infinite love for your devotees. This, my Lord, is all your pastime. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he found such great pleasure in embracing Haridas and Sanatana and bestowing his full mercy upon them. And when Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after bestowing this causeless mercy upon them, left, Sanatana Goswami and Haridas Thakur, in the overwhelming ecstasy of joy, prema bhakti, they began to just dance and sing the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy. In this way, for many years, Srila Haridas Thakur was the constant companion and one of the most intimate associates of Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu. But from within his heart, he could understand that very soon Mahaprabhu is going to leave this world. And he told Lord Chaitanya that I cannot bear the thought of witnessing the final chapter of your earthly Leela. Please, I have but one desire that is burning in my heart, the only desire in my life, that before you leave this world, let me place your lotus feet upon my heart, with my eyes unblinking, drinking the nectar of your beautiful moon-like face. Let my lips repeatedly chant the holy names, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. And in this most merciful setting, let my life air pass from this body. Let this body die in your divine presence. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Haridas, this world has no life or meaning to me without you. You are my life and soul. Haridas replied, please do not create this illusion, my Lord. I am so sinful. I am so lowly and insignificant. If an ant dies, what is the loss to this universe? Please, I beg you, fulfill this one desire of my heart. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu the next day returned with his devotees. They began the Sankirtan of the holy name. Mahaprabhu said to Haridas, what is the news? And Haridas said, whatever mercy you show to me. Haridas Thakur then took the dust from the feet of all the Vaishnavas. Then he placed the feet of the Lord on his heart, and with his eyes seeing the beautiful moonlight face of Gauranga, with his lips chanting the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya, by his own free will, he gave up his life. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw this, and all the devotees witnessed the passing of Haridas Thakur, they all thought of the passing of Bhishma. And Mahaprabhu, in the ecstasy of love, lifted the body of Srila Haridas Thakur upon his lap and began to dance to the kirtan of the holy name. Swarup Damodar Goswami pleaded, "My Lord, let us make the palanquin and carry him to the sea to proceed with the funeral rituals." As the procession advanced toward the sea, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was dancing in front of the palanquin with Haridas's blessed body, ecstatically chanting the holy name of Krishna, as Vrakreshwar Pandit followed close behind him, dancing in ecstatic love. Mahaprabhu washed the feet of Haridas with his own hands, and all the devotees began to drink the water from the sea that washed his lotus feet. And then they dug the hole, and they placed the body of Haridas in. They put sandalwood pulp, prasad from Jagannath, in the form of various cloth and food and ornaments. And then Lord Gaurasundar, with his own hands, began to put the sand on the body of Haridas. And then they erected a beautiful little fenced area to commemorate that this is the place of the great Namacharya's Samadhi. Gauranga Mahaprabhu returned to Jagannath Puri, to the Singhadwara gate, and began to beg with his own hands in order to arrange a beautiful feast in the honor of the disappearance of Haridas Thakur. Swarup Damodar and some assistants requested Mahaprabhu to rest while they collected prasad, 2 handfuls of each preparation from each shopkeeper. There was a grand feast, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began to serve each devotee, but his hand would hold no less than what 5 people could eat. Swarup Damodar said, "Nobody will eat before you, so you please take first." So he sat with Paramananda Puri and Paramananda Bharati, his guru's godbrothers, who he would not ever eat before. He respected them as his own gurus. That is the etiquette. And he took prasad. And he was personally supervising all the servers. Give them more, give them more, give them more, until everyone ate as much prasad until they were filled up to their necks. After they all completed prasad, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally put a garland on each devotee and decorated them with sandalwood pulp. And then he began with such love to extol the glories of Haridas Thakur, that Srila Haridas Thakur was the crown jewel of this universe. But now this earth has lost its most precious jewel. He has chanted the holy name of Krishna 300,000 times every day. And in great compassion he spread the glories of the holy name by his example throughout the universe. Now everyone, please chant. Jaya Jaya Haridas. Jaya Jaya Haridas. Jaya Jaya Haridas. Jaya Jaya Haridas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who takes such great pleasure chanting the holy names of Krishna, on this day led the congregational chanting of the holy names of his devotee, Srila Haridas Thakur. And then Lord Gauranga Mahaprabhu, with mixed feelings of the pain of separation and joy and ecstasy, he returned to his residence. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, toward the end of his life, he made his own residence, or Bhajan Kutir, just close to the Samadhi Mandir of Srila Haridas Thakur. That great Acharya, whom we celebrated the appearance day yesterday, especially wanted to do his Nam Bhajan at the lotus feet of Sri Haridas Thakur's Samadhi. Today there is a Purushottam Gaudiya Mat in the place of the Bhajan Kutir of Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And during that time, Bhakti Vinod Thakur made a plaque and wrote a beautiful poem and offered it to the Samadhi Mandir of Srila Haridas Thakur. One of the verses of that poem is very well known. In fact, whenever great Vaishnavas leave their body, the Gaudiya Vaishnavas quote this poem that Bhakti Vinod Thakur offered at the Samadhi Mandir of Haridas Thakur. The beautiful and sweet words which Bhakti Vinod offered to Srila Haridas Thakur are as follows. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and live to spread the holy name around. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and live to spread the holy name around. He reasons ill who say that Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and live to spread the name around, the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So following in the footsteps of the associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, today the brahmacharis have prepared a wonderful feast in honor of this holy occasion. And today you should all follow the instructions of Mahaprabhu and give them more, give them more, give them more. So please enjoy nice prasad, and while you are taking prasad, please remember this beautiful pastime of the love of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for his devotee. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami concludes his narration of the disappearance of Haridas Thakur by revealing to us how wonderful it is to see the sweetness and the purity and the ecstasy of the love that the Lord has for those devotees who have given their lives in his loving service. Srila Haridas Thakur ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Thank you very much.